Well, I am so thrilled to be here on our Towards Health podcast. My name is Brian Brown, and I serve as the Regional Vice President of Trial Landscape. Today, I'm joined by an industry veteran and former colleague, Mr. Travis Caudill. Travis, I would love to learn a little bit more about your background and your journey into feasibility, along with your current role at ICON. Would you mind introducing yourself to our viewers
I'd
and
love
listeners?
to. I'd love to, Ryan. And I love that my journey in the industry included a time working with you, and excited to be chatting with you today. So I joined the industry maybe through an unconventional route. I actually worked for a health insurance company. And so I was working at a health insurance company, and specifically, I got placed overseeing a data modernization project where we were moving our claims data. This is going to age me, like tech has come so far away. We were on this like MS DOS based system, state of the art, 1989, but we were moving to a Windows based, .NET framework, so and when we talk about data migration, like today, the wizards do this in no time. I was managing a group of people who were keying data from one system into another system. So this was completely low tech, but at the same time, we were working with actuarial sciences, and they were wanting to combine claims data from the old data set with claims data from the new set. And I began to become a bit by requirement an expert on how these data sets were structured and how to pull data sets together for an analysis. And I ended up connecting with some folks at Kindle who were based in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, and they were really interested in leveraging claims data to support their late phase business. And I was really excited about the opportunity, and I've been in the industry, working on feasibility and site identification, ever since. Really, just fascinated about how we leverage data to make better decisions. And there's been just massive consolidation in the industry. Like we're still seeing a lot of M&A activity even today. So, I started at Kindle, which at the time I thought was a big company, but then they got gobbled up by INC on its way to become Cineos. And I've also had a great opportunity to work at Worldwide, which also experienced tremendous growth while I was there, and just recently, was acquired at a private equity sale. And now I'm at Icon, which, following the acquisition of PRA, is one of the largest CROs in the world, and it's just been incredible at every stage of my journey. The principles of using data to drive decision making, they have held true, but man, there's so much more data today than there was 18 years ago, when I started on this journey. And so it's really exciting.
You have been at the forefront of so many different iterations of our utilization of data and the cutting edge. It's the start of a new year. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about what we learned in 2023 and what's coming in 2024 when it comes to data driven clinical trials.
So I think everyone in 2023, is just been fascinated by AI. The realization that AI is going to be transformative in multiple areas of our life, including our work and including clinical trials, and even just patient care. So I think all of 2023 was really an opportunity to step back and think about the role that technology is going to have, and to start thinking about pragmatically, where do we start, how do we channel this excitement into some exciting avenues. I'll say that my journey with AI started a little bit earlier. Back in 2020 we introduced our first AI product. So in 2023 we were thinking about how do we build on a platform that we already have. How can we feed more data into an existing AI product, and then do we need to place sort of a generative AI layer to what we're doing, to help teams better conceptualize, the data coming out of our models. So, I think 2023 has been focused on AI, and I think 2024, I think we're going to continue to see that focus. But I also think that as an industry, we are a bunch of natural skeptics. We love ROI, so I think we're already looking at how this explosion of AI technology, how's it making a difference in our ability to deliver trials to patients, in our ability to enroll those trials more quickly, and honestly get to answers. The goal at the end of the day is to bring new treatments to market or to find out what's not working so that we can reallocate R&D dollars to the next drug that could work for these patients. So I think we're going to see kind of that passion and excitement for AI meet that tough customer perspective we have of wanting to see good ROI on those investment dollars.
So I'm really glad that you raised that, Travis, because we are very much skeptics in this industry and definitely have to deliver that ROI. So I'm
Well,
curious,
Ryan, look
from your
look how long
perspective.
it took us to embrace EDC. You know,
Come
I
on, I know, right?
I don't think anyone imagines a paper CRF anymore, but we were really hesitant as an industry to let go of our paper CRFs, and so it'll be interesting to see how quickly we change. How quickly we're able to adapt now.
From paper CRFs to e-consent. And it's interesting, right, that you've been kind of dabbling in some of this stuff even in 2020. So I think it leads me to ask the question, which is, how much of this do you think is hype versus reality for how it will change the way clinical trials are run?
So I think it's a lot of reality. I think what's hype is the pace at which this is going to happen, right? What I've learned, working with a machine learning data model is that it takes a lot of thinking. The ability of the AI to parse massive amounts of data and to give us insights that we couldn't see alone. It's there, but it's not easy. It's not like going and asking chat gpt to help me create a picture of the perfect clinical trial. Well, it'll generate a nice picture for you, but it's far from solving all the challenges we have on clinical trials. We've been focusing on some of the products I've been working on just bringing down the percentage of sites that don't enroll any subjects on our clinical trial, and we've made great progress in that stride. But the environment we have today is also very different than the environment in 2020 with the pandemic, and so the challenges today are actually very different on the site side. A lot of sites are experiencing resourcing shortages, and they're having to divert resources that have traditionally been applied to clinical research to other areas of patient care. And so we've had to think, how do we evolve our AI model to account for this new information? And then as we've all as we've also had a lot of interest in diversity and inclusion, now it's not only about selecting the sites that'll put patients on studies, but making sure we get the right mix of patients, that we're giving a true representative sampling of the U.S. population in the patients we're enrolling. And what I found is that there's just no mission accomplished banner to be had anywhere. It's about lots of iterations. It's about trying and seeing what's working and what's not working. And it's about developing partnerships with data providers to bring new data sets in and to see how does this data help build on the model we already have. And I think that's exciting. But again, I think a lot of people think, you know, next year, 2024, AI is going to solve everything. I think we're a lot of work away from reaching the summit of the mountain.
And we definitely have a ways to go, but it seems like as an industry, we're all collectively trying to take those steps. And I'm glad that you mentioned the concept of partnership, especially when I think about when it comes to selecting the ideal site, right? And what ideal site selection even means and looks like, especially in the landscape where so much technology is available to us. How can we better leverage technology to advance our efforts with diversity and also maybe addressing some of those clinical trial processes that might be able to reduce some of the burden to the site?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head with your comments there. What we're finding is that because of the stress sites are under and the resource constraint, they're really looking at clinical trials as an opportunity to provide a care option to their patients. And they're wanting to make sure, with the limited capacity that they have, that they're choosing options that can benefit most of their patients or more of their patients. And so I think when we do a good job of matching a clinical trial opportunity to the patient population that a site has, if we have a particular drug that we think is going to have an increased efficacy profile within a particular demographic, and we can match that drug and that clinical trial with a site that's serving the needs of those patients, that's really, really powerful. I in my own journey, it's been really rewarding working on a number of lupus protocols. And lupus disproportionately affects Black people, and specifically Black women who oftentimes are in a season of their life where they have caregiver responsibilities for children and family. And being able to make this study available to those populations and to work with the sites. How do we support these patients on their journey? How do we support a patient who has caregiving responsibilities? And how do we make this study easier? I think that's where the technology first helps us place the study in the right location. And then it helps us put the right sorts of solutions around that site to support both the site and those patients, to make it easy for those patients to come in. And one of the ways we're seeing AI technology sort of make a difference is in really helping us optimize the protocol design and the schedule of events. How can we capture the data that we need in the least invasive way possible? So that we are giving patients more of their life back and making it easier for them to be in the clinical trial. And I think we're seeing, and this is probably one of the most positive things I think that's come out of the pandemic. We're seeing the adoption of DCT trial elements on a lot of our studies, to make it a little bit easier. So, I think it's about making sure that we do a good job matching our study opportunities to the right sites who have the right patients. And then I think it's about leveraging all the tools that we have, AI and otherwise, to just make it as easy for those patients and sites as possible.
Um, you hit on so much there, and I know that we could spend a whole other hour just unpacking everything that you broke down right there. But I'm really glad that you hit on the point that technology can point us to the areas where patients who are most in need might be, and then the other layer to that is aligning the right resources to ensure that the sites that may have historically been overlooked can actually thrive with the protocol and support their patients and actually being able to participate and enroll and to empower these sites to be able to offer clinical trials as a care option to the right patient population at the right time. So I'm really glad that you hit on that, including with trial design, which has a big impact on our ability to find the right sites and be able to enroll the patients. So I want to be mindful as well of your time and of our time. Um, are there any kind of closing thoughts that you have as it pertains to the role of AI technology and the look ahead and what you're most excited about?
So, the thing that strikes me is that AI is allowing us to ask better questions than ever before, but it's incumbent on us to ask the questions. It's enabling an extension of human intelligence, but I think there's been this idea that we can leverage AI a bit to disengage, to make our lives easier. My life has gotten more complex since AI, but it's been great because we're asking and answering better questions, and what we've really learned on our journey, with AI and with this disruptive technology, is that it's okay to be a little bit uncomfortable. It's okay to not know exactly how things are going to work out. I think experimentation is really, really important as we're on this cutting edge. And again, I want to talk about the importance of selecting good partners and the importance of having good dialogue about what's going on. Where we need to come together, I think, as a community through opportunities like this podcast and others to talk about what we're doing, what we're trying, what's working, what's not working. And I think that collective commitment will return a lot of dividends for all of us as we sort of ride the AI wave. And again, we try to expedite treatments for our patients.
That was really well said. And, as I think about our listeners who might be diving into this, some of the things that were discussed as far as, technology, we need to embrace it instead of being terrified of it. Being able to have a safe space to actually experiment, to try, to ask the big questions, especially now that we've got so many great data sets, it's getting more robust to where we can ask a little bit more nuanced questions to actually help us make better informed decisions and strategies, especially as we're designing the studies, and then also to inform where we go, why we go, where we go, and how to best support the patients and the sites that are being served by these new innovations. So I am extremely grateful for your time, Travis, and your insights on this very important and salient topic. And I'm looking forward to the next wave of what we can do collectively as an industry to just continue to innovate and leverage the best that we can. And so, I guess my big ask to the broader community is empower our people to be able to ask those questions of the technology, to be mindful that the ROI, it might be very incremental in value. So setting the right goals to measure whether or not something's working instead of it being all or nothing. Because that's one of the big concerns I think that I see is if people don't see an immediate return on some of this in AI, they might abandon it. Whereas, we're just getting started. We're kind of on the cutting edge and infancy in some of this stuff. So Travis, uh, final food for thought. Any last wrap ups or any three key tips that you'd like to leave your fellow colleagues in feasibility that are looking at how to best utilize technology and inform the best decisions of why to go where they go?
So three key tips. I'll keep them quick. Number one, be curious. Number two, ask questions. And number three, remember that the patients are at the center of everything we do, especially at the center of the planning stage of the study where we have such a huge impact as feasibility professionals.
I have nothing else. You just kind of dropped the mic there. So thank you so much, Travis, for your time and your intentionality. And I appreciate you. Until the
Thanks,
next one.
Ray. It's awesome.
Okay. Awesome.